Welcome to the DegenCast. I'm your host, Meow Meow, and today with me are Defi Degen
What's up?
and Ian.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, and before we start, smash that subscribe or follow button, depending on where you listen to us. And today's podcast is brought to you by Expanse, the highest paying fixed API in DeFi. So, we'll have a cliffhanger. What the fuck Nancy Pelosi is doing there? She's my
What is she
favorite
doing?
trader. She's my favorite trader, guys. I care about her a lot.
Yeah, very good trader. And yeah, what is she doing there? Does anybody why was Nancy Pelosi in Taiwan? Now, obviously, China didn't like it, right? They issued
If for
threats.
nothing else, that's good enough for me.
Well, right, and how does that work, Meow? What's the thing? China's final warning.
Yeah, so in Russia, we actually have this phrase called China's final warning, and it appeared like in 1950, 1960, meaning basically nothing burger. That China is acting like a paper dragon, just saying, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, we're going to attack you. Then something happened, like, we didn't really want to attack you.
Yeah, they don't really care, but they want to
Yeah.
warn us. They want to act like a tough guy and say, "Oh, hey,
Yeah, it's paper dragon, basically. They do nothing, to be honest.
Okay,
They're
so
just
but regardless of what China thinks about it, seriously, what the fuck was she doing in Taiwan? Ian, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, so if I'm gonna be like try to be a voice of reason here, the reasonable explanation is sure we can go conduct diplomacy visits or missions whenever we want to. So I guess that's probably the official reason. But surely it has something to do with the semiconductor stuff. Taiwan's the biggest producer of semiconductors in the world, right?
Right, and I mean, I think that if you're gonna say diplomatic mission, I mean the timing is a little weird. It's
It
a little
is.
too weird for that. But when you think of the fact that the semiconductor chip bill, was just up for a vote in the U.S. And voted on, I think that timing wise, I think that your answer makes the most sense. Like it's some sort of, I don't know. I mean, but the interesting thing is because that bill is supposed to encourage semiconductor manufacturing in the U.S. So is she over there?
Mhm.
Is she blackmailing them? Is she negotiating? Is she telling them to build factories within the U.S.? What is she doing?
I'd hope she's trying to at least keep the peace to some extent, right? Because as someone, well, all of us here, we rely really heavily on technology, and to some degree, we work in the technology industry anyway. So I
guys,
hope she's trying to keep the peace there.
for a
You know,
second. I have like a one question. I believe Taiwan does produce a lot of microchips for military, for United States military.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And there is like a good exchange there. I actually joked recently about it that Taiwan is getting cash back on the military equipment they're getting from United States by sending chips and technology to United States.
That would make perfect sense. Yeah.
So basically, what Nancy Pelosi could do, she is speaker, yes, but she's still a political representative of United States. She
Of
could
course, yeah.
she could show to the West Taiwan that basically they're still going to support the real Taiwan, the real China, and it's Taiwan. Because yeah,
Well, and the interesting thing about it though is, if that was her goal, then why was the White House issuing statements at the exact same time saying that they support one China?
the one China policy is really weird anyway to begin with.
Yes.
I guess this just doesn't make sense to me because I'm not China, and right, and I don't want Taiwan to be mine. But
you did a mistake.
our stance on China and Taiwan is strange.
You did a mistake with calling West Taiwan as a China, but okay, I'm gonna let it go.
No, but the thing is, the China basically demands that trade partners, to some extent, abide by a one China policy where they will not consider Taiwan to be a sovereign nation. And so that's the current U.S. stance, is that Taiwan is not a sovereign nation. So it's very weird to have that stance while at the same time the Speaker of the House is flying over and basically acknowledging Taiwan's sovereignty.
Yeah, I guess to
Well,
have official diplomatic relations with Beijing, you have to abide by the one China policy.
Yeah, unless they
Yeah.
make an exception for you. But yeah,
Do they
honestly,
do that to anybody? Because I'm looking here
I'm
that
sure they
as
do.
of April, there's 13 countries, and they include places like Belize and Haiti and the Vatican, which I guess is the big outlier there. But everybody else, right? If I told you the name Saint Lucia, right, you'd have to get on a map and go look exactly where it is. You could get close, but you can't tell me exactly. So none of these places are big.
Yeah, you might be right then.
you
Maybe
know,
it is an absolute requirement.
you
Yeah,
know,
the
I
Vatican's the
think
only exception.
What
Has
were
the
you going to
Pope
say,
ever
Mia?
been to China?
That's a good question. I don't think there's very many Catholics in China, is there?
I don't think there is either, but I mean,
Mia, what were you going to
so.
say?
I was trying to say that war is war, but politics is politics, and economic and money is money. You know,
Right. Yeah.
maybe that separation, that like United States saying that we support the one China policy, and meanwhile Nancy Pelosi is coming to China, to Taiwan. I'm sorry, is just another way to saying like, come on, guys, it's just money trip. You
Well,
know,
yeah,
fuck off.
and that's I mean that's the interesting part is China. Well, Beijing does not have a problem with other countries doing business with Taiwan. Um, they consider it like, you can still go there and do business and things. It's just that, you have to acknowledge that it's ours. China gets pretty like they have a lot of leeway, right? So you can do business there. It might piss them off, but they're gonna accept it as long as you abide by the one China policy. But Nancy Pelosi going there in the way that she did was a slap in the face of the one China policy. Like whether you agree with it or not, I mean, you can't possibly see it any other way.
I
Okay,
just remember Donald Trump getting ripped up and down for calling that, and I'm never going to forget this because I mean, they just destroyed him for calling when they elected that new president.
Yeah,
Now,
in
I didn't
Taiwan,
think that was a big deal at all.
a
I
single
don't think
phone
it's a
call.
big deal that Nancy Pelosi went at all either.
Yeah.
well,
It's wild.
Well, you know what? It's kind of funny. Not many people talking about, but like Trump getting scolded for a lot of things, but wall is still under construction, and factories are still coming back to United States, and all the stuff. So
Yeah. Well, good. Bring them back here. I'm a big proponent of doing that. So let's
Yeah,
go
I mean, if
ahead.
okay,
that's the goal,
but
you know,
okay. My opinion there, actually, and it's coming from a military standpoint. Okay, that United States got a free ELINT operation against China, absolutely for free. So let me explain to people who don't understand what I'm talking about. ELINT is electronic intelligence, right?
yeah,
If you take a look at the responders on the airplanes, they have the code, they have the respond number, but they also have something called hex number. And hex number you cannot just disable or you cannot hide. Okay. And basically, they picked up the E2, they took off the E2 from the aircraft carrier Ronald Reagan, right? It was Ronald Reagan. Correct, if I'm wrong.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's E2 aircrafts, which called the Hawkeye, I believe, right? Not the Sentry, Hawkeye. And they were scanning the airspace for the hex numbers of the Chinese airplanes, including the newest one, which China decided to send and flex against Americans. And Americans were like, "Hey guys, that's free real estate. We're gonna collect the information. We're gonna collect the signatures. So we're gonna know what's flying against us in the possible war."
I mean, yeah, you might have a valid point there. I think that's definitely, a beneficial side effect at the very least, if not
Yeah,
the whole point. But it.
What's the point of the one China policy? So let's back up and talk about that a little bit. Why does China even care? If they cared enough, they would do something about it. I
Well,
don't
I
think they
think
care. This is manufactured tension. That's
I
all
don't
it
know.
is.
China does care. I mean, China is very.
Then why don't they take it? Go take it.
They feel like they already have it.
They act like
No, because there's clearly no consensus.
Well, no, it's very similar to Hong Kong.
Okay, well the British need to get Hong Kong back just to piss China off. We'll go take that back. And no, but do they care? I mean, I don't think they care.
Yes, they care. They care.
It doesn't make sense to me. If they cared, they would do something about it. Otherwise, they don't care because it's not like the manufacturing is going to stop. If they go take it, it's going to piss a bunch of people off. It's probably not the right, from an objective perspective, not the right thing to do.
You got to think that China probably has a lot of influence in Taiwan already. Like they might just be perfectly fine with how it is right now without creating hot war.
Well, so if they had that can't be true though. If they had the influence in Taiwan, then there would never be a war anyway to begin with. So I don't know that they care. I think it's manufactured tension. I think it's just a manufactured controversy.
China could feel like they win so long as all the countries that do business with them acknowledge one China. That could be all it is. It could be a fucking ego thing.
Well, at the same time, I'm perfectly happy to take people's money if they want me to tell them I'm wrong. Like I don't care either. Yeah, I'll happily do that, and that's kind of might be what they're doing. I don't know.
Guys, you're forgetting one more thing.
Man?
You're forgetting one more thing, that the main competition for Taiwanese TSMC, Taiwanese semiconductor, right, is based in China. So, like, not even Intel can come close. We're talking about that's like one company's in China making all the microchips, and another one is in Taiwan, and they're somewhere in the boat, like somewhere there, sitting the Intel, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about why they're over there to begin with, and why they're not here.
Well, it's way cheaper to manufacture.
Yeah,
it's way cheaper to manufacture there.
It's not even close.
It's not just that. It's not just.
Sure, it is. That is the primary reason. Tenfold over anything else.
Sir, can I ask one question for you?
Mm-hmm.
Is it cheaper to get sand from India, where there's all specific, like special sand located for silicon, to United States or to Taiwan? So it's cheaper to get it.
Yeah, I mean, you can get silicon from a number of different places in the world. So, sure. Yeah, I mean, you can get it in South America, you can get it in Europe, you can get it in China, Asia. So, I don't know. I think that's the biggest contributing factor towards cost. I think tenfold of anything else is the labor.
No. The biggest contributor to the cost of microchip is actually chemicals and technology needed to produce that chip. So what you need
to if we brought it back here, though, it would be it's increased cost significantly.
It's extremely expensive to build such a factory.
Well, and not only that, you have to pay like anybody.
The people.
The actual people
and not just
that work for you are going to make 8 times what they make in the in Taiwan in the U.S. So,
and not just like simple guys. These people have to be specifically educated and have some specific education in some.
Well, and there's also government tax breaks and things like here in the U.S. They're going to pay more all around than they will in any form in Taiwan. That's just bottom line.
Let's just again agree: war is war, but money is money.
How much? I wonder how much it costs. I agree with you there. I wonder how much it costs to. Like I was looking the other day during COVID, I developed this thing where when we weren't going out and about much because nobody really knew what was going on at the beginning. So I'd get on Google Maps and look around places. So I was looking at real estate in China, and it's very expensive. Like I don't understand how do people afford these really small, like 500 square foot apartments that are not nice or modern for $2 million US.
Well, for one thing, you have to keep in mind that the price that you pay as a foreigner is way different than the price that Chinese would pay for that. And number two, I mean, look at Hong Kong, look at Taiwan, look at Singapore. I mean,
it's ridiculous over there.
Yeah, Singapore is like the most expensive island. I mean, it's barely a fucking island. It's at the end of Malaysia, but it's the single most expensive place to live in the entire world.
And the reason is?
because that real estate is in high demand.
It's crazy. So how do people there, if we're paying, they're getting paid pennies on the dollar versus what we pay here? How are people buying those?
Well, I mean,
It's wild. It's wild to think about.
So, for example, I mean, people who live in Singapore are generally, I mean, Singapore is like a huge financial capital, and it's not very big. Like Singapore is very, very small. Like it's not even as big as like a U.S. city. And
the climate is nasty. I was there. It's like I couldn't stay there.
Well, it's tropical. I mean, the climate's tropical, but it's also a major metropolis. So, it's. But if you're a financial, like if you own a major crypto exchange or something, and you got that kind of money, that's the place you want to live.
And talking about major crypto exchanges, my favorite Coinbase and a favorite Blackrock.
Yeah, that's an interesting combination, isn't it? Blackrock and Coinbase.
That's a big deal too, I think.
It's a huge
For
deal.
a long time, we've talked about crypto in terms of like, this is going to be huge one day. This is going to revolutionize the way we do stuff one day.
This is huge.
And this is a step towards that. Like someone somewhere has realized that we need to
it's
doing stuff more modern now. And that's what they're doing.
It's another step in mainstream adoption, which has been occurring for a while now. I mean, we have like actual legacy market crypto products now, and we have proper futures exchanges, and crypto is maturing every day, and this is another step. But that doesn't necessarily make it a good thing for the average crypto investor or crypto holder. I mean, BlackRock. Look what BlackRock's been doing to the real estate market in the US.
Yeah. Well, this isn't the average. This is a like a corporate investor, right? An institutional. They're making it available to institutions, right?
Right. Well, and I mean, what are the two biggest? Like, do you know what are the two biggest stockholders in the United States?
You mean two biggest institutions? It's going to be some sort of retirement fund.
I believe, and you can look this up, but I believe that
it's going to be Norway. Is Norway one of them?
I think it's BlackRock and Vanguard. I'm not 100% positive, but I think it's BlackRock and Vanguard.
So let's see. Yeah, Vanguard, BlackRock, or State Street. Yeah, I would have guessed it's going to be a big pension fund somewhere, like a country like in Europe, like Norway or Sweden or something like that.
No, I think it's Vanguard and BlackRock.
That doesn't surprise me. But if they're making this available, if they're making it available to institutions, that's a big deal. Degen, you and I have talked about this before about how corporate treasuries can participate in a crypto market. It's really difficult right now, especially if they work or they exist in a regulated industry. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Because every trade, every little blip on any piece of the radar could trigger some taxable event. And
this will change completely. Like this will change that completely, because I mean, once you have BlackRock and Vanguard that have funds that incorporate,
like 15 trillion between those two people, if they want something done, they'll get it done.
But all that being said, BlackRock and Vanguard, they have tendencies to control certain markets. So,
Vanguard's done me poorly this year. I don't trust it. I've lost a lot of money with Vanguard this year. So,
and I've always had issues with Vanguard. I've read. I'm not even going to get into that. I don't know.
The appeal is the low fees, right? And it's a like a principled based or rules based trading environment with low overhead. I mean, for a lot of people, it works out real well. I know you and I have talked about this in the past.
Guys, do you want an unpopular opinion about BlackRock?
Sure, go ahead.
Look at the state of the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
BlackRock is actually seeing that market is ready. Okay, let's first of all, with all my hate towards these big institutional companies, I have to admit they're fucking smart, and their analytical team is really smart. They're fucking genius, prodigies maybe. But think of that from that perspective. If BlackRock is saying that we are ready to invest into crypto, does it mean that market has matured?
I agree with
Yeah.
that. I think that you're right, but the problem that I have with that is,
Yeah, they're gonna fuck so many people. I know.
yeah, BlackRock doesn't really do that unless they think that they can dominate
Well,
a
yeah, if they
market.
can make money, right? But look
Well,
at the
I think
grayscale Bitcoin and Ethereum trusts and things like that. And on the
yep.
previous episode, the one just before this, um, we talked about is that kind of everything going mainstream, kind of putting everything in one melting pot, and all commodities are just kind of the same now. And
Yeah.
this is just another step towards that, I guess, to
It
that end.
is it is really interesting to me that it appears based on, how the economy has shifted, that BlackRock actually invested a lot of money buying the top of real estate. And I'm interested
Why?
to see what effect that's gonna have on them or how they handle that. I mean, because they were really buying a ton of rental properties in the US right around, the peak. So
Hmm.
and now obviously the market's kinda taking a dip. It's probably gonna turn around within a couple of years, be a buyer's market for a while and whatnot. We've talked about that, but I just think that it's gonna be interesting to see how BlackRock handles that. Now, if their
Well,
goal
they
is
were
rental
probably buying. They
income,
got a lot of influx of money, right?
well,
So they had to do something with it. They didn't want to sit on the cash. So this is the
also I
government,
think
COVID
well,
relief money.
right, and I think that also, their end goal is to collect rents, basically. So, and I don't think rents are going down anytime soon because supply and demand just is going to ensure that. But
Just
it's going to
that.
be it's going to be interesting to see how they write down their real estate losses in value while maintaining their cash flow from rents. I mean, it might be a huge genius move on their part. Seriously.
Okay,
Yeah.
may I ask one question?
Sure.
What if the real estate market will stop to grow or at least slow down?
That's what I just said. It obviously is. That's
Yeah.
already happening.
No,
Yeah,
not.
it's
You don't get it. I mean, new construction's gonna slow, or at least they're
It's
gonna be
already
a
happening, man.
temporary.
It's already happening. That's
Uh,
already you're
or
like
you,
yeah.
you're a little late to the game. So
yeah, but like what I'm gonna say, like temporary ban under, like saying the climate or whatever, like constructing is bad for the climate, blah blah blah. Therefore, their tops when they're buying in the top doesn't really matter.
I'm
It will be
building a house
low.
right now for someone. Um, it's about a $500,000 house. Uh, we're breaking officially going to break ground actually tomorrow of all things. So good timing on this topic. But the lumber, I got the price. There was a big delay in getting building permits because everybody's trying to get them, so it just took a lot longer. The original lumber back in May was $77,000, and it changes monthly. So lumber is more or less a commodity. It changes monthly based on futures prices. So I get an updated quote at the beginning of each month. I got an updated quote on the around the 1st of April last week, or of August last week. Uh, 55,000. So it's come off 22,000 in 3 months. It's
oh wow.
dropped. Yeah, I mean that's a significant drop, and
Yeah, I remember
that's a
talking to you
really
when
good precursor to see how things are going to go.
yep. I mean, remember like we were talking when that price was just skyrocketing.
Yeah,
And
it's wild.
uh to respond to what Meow was saying, like, yeah, I could see. I mean, like honestly, I could see some sort of, especially with. I mean, we don't even know what's in this new bill that passed because no one's had time to read it yet. But I could see construction becoming more expensive or more difficult because of
Hmm.
climate rules or climate regulations or whatnot. And
Well,
I don't think that's that big of a risk yet because we still have. I mean, everybody knows that right now in this country we have a huge lack of supply when it comes to housing. And
hey, though, check this out. And I haven't even Googled this. This is hearsay. A plumber told me this. I don't know if it's true or not. Actually, a guy that digs water wells is the guy that told me this.
yeah,
But PVC pipe, I know it's really expensive. I know it's gone up. I mean, firsthand, I know I've tried to buy some, and it's like 3 times what it was a year ago. But and then you look at the cost to plumb a new house, for example, it's way up there. A house, a smaller house is going to cost you at least $20,000 to plumb it. But anyway,
yeah,
I was told by the plumber that it's due to some new regulation how they produce PVC pipes. I don't know if that's true or false or what, but there may be some truth to that.
I could
I don't know if they
definitely
have to
see
do
that.
it
Yeah.
differently or what.
No, I mean, we all know. I mean, the more the government tries to regulate things in order to help us, the more they actually make a lot of those things more expensive. So, good or bad, I totally get that.
Yeah.
It makes perfect
Yeah.
sense too.
Thanks for all the help. Appreciate that.
That brings up another thing too. So, Meta is teaming up, right? What isn't that Coinbase too? Like Meta is teaming up. Facebook Meta is teaming up with Coinbase too, right? Like they're gonna launch this NFT platform. Have you guys heard about this?
Yeah. The what was the coin called that Facebook, was it Libre coin? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
I get all
yeah,
these mixed together.
Libra,
So
Libra, I think, right? Yeah.
Libra coin. Okay, with Libra coin, that I remember talking. I work closely with a guy who does a lot of venture capital, and I remember talking to him, and he was so excited because PayPal was interested, like Visa and Mastercard, and all these. I don't even remember who was interested, but I just remember him telling me this. Like everybody was interested in how great it was that they're getting this buy-in, and the problem was it wasn't that Facebook was interested, or I mean that Visa or Mastercard, but it was that Facebook was interested in it.
Well, they
I don't
actually
think they got the trust of anybody right now.
no,
Nobody's going to trust them.
They had the whole Libra Foundation and all of those companies. There was like
Yeah,
a whole bunch of major corporations that were all
and they
part of the
cratered it.
Libra Foundation.
Nobody
Yeah.
trusts Facebook.
Yeah.
Guys, regarding Libra, when first time I heard Libra, the first thing came to my mind were countries like Democratic People Republic of Korea, or like German Democratic Republic, or whatever, everything with a name democratic in it. You know what's uniting them all? They all authoritarian as fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody knew, Libra's not, or I mean, Facebook's not going to create some kind of completely decentralized solution. Obviously, they want it to be as centralized as possible so they can control it.
Yeah.
Obviously. And
is this them jumping the shark, or Coinbase jumping the shark? I mean, I don't know. It's someone is. I don't like it.
I don't
real question.
understand. I don't understand why Meta is coming with the NFTs right now. Right? It's again, I think they're a little bit too late for the party.
Well, look
in
at,
my
they
opinion.
did an excellent job at capitalizing on the hype train and changing their name to Meta. The layperson just does not know the difference between what the
Come
metaverse
on.
is and Facebook. They just don't.
Come on, our pocket reptiloid is just a little bit too slow.
No, yeah, no, that's the thing is they capitalized on that. That looks great for them in legacy markets. Like, oh, they're going to dominate the metaverse.
Like your mom or dad want to buy some crypto, they're going to go buy from Meta.
Whatever, the innovation are not happening with them.
No, but the thing is,
I agree.
I think that they're too late to the NFT game. I think Coinbase is as well. Like, I don't see why anybody would use Coinbase for anything related to NFTs. That's the bottom line.
Well, and here's the thing. I think with NFTs, we've beat this horse to death. The JPEG stuff, I think that's a stupid use case. It illustrates a point, though, to people that are going to think about it. I like the opportunity and the potential. Like, you want to buy my house, I'll give you the NFT for my house, and now you own it, and we're done. Love that.
We have not even scraped the surface of the potential of it.
Right.
Of actual NFTs. And I'm not even talking about what you're talking about, like in terms of deeds and stuff like that. No, I'm talking about actual use cases for NFTs, like different projects that control other crypto assets and hold them and allow you to trade them within the. I mean, there's a lot of
any
potential
representation of ownership, right? It's
anything like that, yeah. But it has nothing to do with JPEGs, right? Exactly what you're saying.
So the point is, though, that like is what's happening here. The problem with NFTs is this. If we go let's go pick out 10 people and let's give them $50, okay? And these could be just 10 random, like we run into somebody at the grocery store, whatever. Give them $50 and say, okay, here's your job, is to go buy an NFT. And how many of those people do you think are going to be able to do it? And the answer is maybe one of them, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
So I wonder if in order for these to be successful long term, not just from the JPEG perspective, not just from the picture perspective, but for all this tangible, ownership of tangible things or intangible things, ownership in general, from that perspective, it's got to become easier. I wonder if this gets us there, or if
I
this is a step to making it easier.
I've always said that, Coinbase, their smartest thing they could do is become the on-ramp for DeFi. And that includes NFTs, that includes everything else. I mean, if Coinbase can simplify the on-ramping for the average consumer, I mean,
Yeah.
that is golden. I mean, that's really what this industry has been missing for so long. It's getting better, it's getting easier, and it's getting more commonplace. But there's also that certain level, right, where it's kind of like using a smartphone, right? Like, we don't necessarily want to dumb down smartphones. We want them to do better things. So instead, we need to educate the people to make them more used to using smartphones. And smartphones really did bridge that gap. Most people have one now. So, however, like, they kind of met halfway there by educating people, but then also making it simple enough. So I think that's really what the whole crypto space still needs to really work on. And I think it's kind of everybody's obligation to kind of contribute to that in one way or another.
Everybody be warned that the first smartphone, was the Palm Trio or whatever it was, and then you had Blackberries, and then iPhone and Android took over. So be wary of the first few. The first few aren't going to win, but I think it's a necessary step forward.
Like, what really pushed the whole smartphone thing forward, though, Ian?
What's that?
Two-way pagers.
Oh man, those were awesome,
weren't they?
I'm sure you had. I had.
I did.
The text on the screen and stuff, and you could like type. That was great.
Guys,
I was a police officer. We had them then.
You know what actually pushed the smartphones where they are right now? The Morse code telegraph. So fuck off.
I guess it did. No, you're probably right. I mean, it was definitely a precursor.
Well,
prior to that was smoke signals.
Yeah, smoke signals definitely did more than Morse code.
Yeah,
Come
definitely.
on, give credit where it's due.
No, it's no. It's just few guys who are trying to draw on the walls in their cave. Ooga booga.
Yeah.
But hey, so on that note too, like, speaking of crypto and speaking of all the things that we've discussed recently, did you guys hear Voyager apparently has gotten approval to start allowing, what is it, up to $300 million or something worth of withdrawals, something like that?
I wonder how many customers that'll affect. Like, are they going to have like a couple big customers just come and wipe it all out? Or are they divvying it up by, you can get up to 50% of what you've got in
I would
here
assume they would do it on a haircut basis, where like everyone's
Yeah.
entitled to 10% of their
something.
balance or something like that. Yeah.
I don't remember. This is going to sound silly. I didn't have a lot of Bitcoin in Mt. Gox, and I don't ever remember ultimately what happened. I still get things in the mail periodically about the
It's not done yet.
bankruptcy thing. It's not done.
It's almost done. It's almost done.
Okay. Okay.
But now you're gonna get, like, I mean, that Bitcoin's worth a lot more than it was then.
I probably won't get a Bitcoin back, right? If I do, that'd be great. I'll buy you all a beer. How about that?
No, I think basically what their bankruptcy plan, and I might be wrong here because I don't pay much attention to it, but I'm pretty sure that what it allows for is basically most people will recover the USD value of what they lost at the time.
At the time, yeah. So maybe I'll recover $100 or whatever. I don't know, it's $50 or something. Yeah, I mean that'd be interesting. I mean, I guess it's a good step forward. And
wait, you're forgetting that nice NFT that you got out of it.
Oh, I did. And I'm actually using that right now because I bought all new networking equipment at my house for it. So
yeah, what'd you get?
I'm talking
to
you
that?
guys.
Like, you got like 0.
It was about 900, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
For my Mt. Gox NFT, I would never have known unless you told me. So
I didn't sell mine. I probably should have. It's worth a lot less.
Yeah, they're not worth shit now. So, but to be fair, that was luck. It was at the peak of the NFT hype when I sold that thing, and it just worked out. So, but yeah, I mean, good step for Voyager. I guess it helps build confidence. I don't know how much it's going to really affect people, and I don't know how much the people that are using it are going to be willing to go put money in another platform, which they're probably certainly going to be more hesitant now.
Well, but can we agree,
overall
though,
good news? I think.
yeah, people getting something back is better than nothing, and it's just one step. Like this isn't all of their money. This isn't
Mhm.
from what I understand. This
How
is
did they
just
do it? Did Voyager have to borrow money, or what happened? Like, where'd they get the money?
so it sounds like Voyager was one of those several firms that took in deposits, paid an APR or APY on them, and then loaned out the deposits they took in. They were a crypto bank, basically.
So they were like a pyramid scheme.
I mean, is a bank a pyramid scheme?
Well, banks are different. Fractional reserve banking is a little different, given that the Fed
I,
kind of backs them up.
Wait,
it's still
hold
kind
on.
of a pyramid scheme, though.
Any kind of bank is pyramid scheme, after all.
Well, it's not a pyramid scheme if you have the full backing of the U.S. government
Yeah.
that's going to cover your losses, though. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the
the
difference.
business itself is, yeah, of course, yeah.
You
I mean,
borrow money and you give money with borrowed money, so that's how
yeah,
it is
you-
working.
So banking, I think generally it's like 10 to 1. So for every dollar you have deposited, you can lend out 10.
Oh no, Ian,
It may
during
be
the
more. I
pandemic,
don't know.
no, Ian, during the pandemic, they suspended that, and
Oh, did they?
there's no limit to the fractional reserve right now.
Yeah,
It
we're
has not.
probably getting into the territory of stuff I probably shouldn't even be talking about because I don't know enough about it. So
No,
uh,
they suspended because you used to have a minimum. You had to have a minimum 10%.
yeah,
And they suspended that, and I believe the minimum now is 2%, but I cannot, like, don't quote me on that. I can't be quoted on that. I'm not
yeah.
sure, but it's pretty reckless. It's pretty ridiculous what the minimum is.
Well, so back to Voyager though. So where'd they get the money? Right? You said that. I mean, they were lending out money that people were depositing, or they were acting like a bank
Yeah,
without
they were
any
acting like a savings and
formal
loan.
backing. Yeah, savings and loan. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's go back to the savings and loan scandals of the 80s,
of the
right?
well,
This is kind of
and see, but
what happened here.
isn't that like the irony, right? It's like the last time we had a recession and market crash just like this was the savings and
Yeah,
loan scandal.
yeah, you're right.
And this is the same scandal, just in
And we're
crypto.
seeing stuff everywhere else too, right? That's going to follow suit because look at
The
interest
same
rates on
shit.
houses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
real estate. Yeah,
yeah,
it's the
good point.
same exact situation. It's just that we moved the savings and loan aspect to cryptocurrency.
I made a
But
comment the other day.
all the other same shit's affected.
I had a friend of mine come over the other day, and I said, the only bad thing from my perspective, we got really lucky with our house. The timing when we built it, we financed it. It could have worked out better. But now, even if prices drop, it's such a huge incentive for me to stay here because the money is like free. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
So earlier we were talking about real estate. There's a disincentive to move because essentially I've got free money to live in this house. So
Well, and I mean, I've been thinking about this for like a year and a half now. It's like, my, the value of the house that I own has gone up so much that it's like, if I were to sell it today, I would
mhm.
have more in my pocket than I agreed to buy it for to begin with. And
Yeah, it's not uncommon, I think, either.
right, but the interesting thing is the reason that I won't do that is what the fuck else am I gonna buy?
Yeah. Well, then you're going to go buy something again
And it's gonna
and
be
just kind
even
of
more
reset it. You
expensive.
can either have a bunch of cash and no house. It's the opposite. You hear people that are house rich but cash poor. You're
Right.
cash rich but house poor at that point.
Yeah. Well, and so that's what tells me that the real estate market has to go through at least a 1-year period of stagnation before it can become a
Hmm.
buyer's market, which is common. And again, it's exactly what we saw during the last savings and loan scandal. So,
Yeah.
Guys, referring back to the recession and all this stuff, the next year is going to be so fucked up. Brace yourselves.
it definitely looks like it's going to be pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
But
we talked about this in the episode, the last episode was
Yeah, we
Yep.
like
talked about
things
the
like
budget.
using rewards credit cards and just stuff like that to help make ends meet. It's like a necessity now.
Well, isn't it weird though, right? That clearly, like, we're talking here, and we all recognize that things are fucked up. Everything's getting more expensive. The economy is it's in the shitter. But yet, if you turn on Western media, if you turn on U.S. media, CNBC or CNN or any of the primary channels, and watch the news, all you hear about is, oh, it's not really a recession, or it's not, it's this, or jobs growth is great, and all this. So it really it brings us to this other topic where it's like, what is the media really doing here? And
Well,
you can
doesn't
even
even
take it
matter
back,
what we call it.
I mean, you can even take it back further, like, the whole COVID and the whole, just all of these things, like we talked about this earlier. Like, what exactly is China's influence in this? Because we
Yeah.
addressed that a lot of these media sources, a lot of these you know scholarly sources, academic sources, they're all Chinese funded, that are kind of controlling popular opinion in our country today. So what, like where is this going, and where does this end up, and what exactly is the reasoning for trying to convince people, like, oh, you're not in a recession? Is that just political, so that Joe Biden doesn't get too much of the blame, or like, what exactly is
You
that?
know
Like,
what?
why does it matter?
With that said, that's what we'll talk about next week.